Hello everybody, Chris DeLeon here of GameKeto. I'm here with...
Krister Kaitila, also known as McFunkyPants.
That's right, and we're here today because we're putting together an online event called EnjoyGameDev. And you can think of it like a conference, which people go to conferences, right, for talks on certain subjects, for expert connections, for networking. And we're recreating all of that online in a single day. So you don't have to travel, you don't have to get a hotel anywhere, you don't have to, doesn't matter where you're located. If you can watch this video, you can probably access this conference. The event's going to be August 5th. And Chris, do you want to say a few other things about, like, what are we putting together? Why is it called EnjoyGameDev?
Well, we're calling the conference EnjoyGameDev because we brought in a bunch of really great guests who all share a common theme. And these are people that have been making games. They're in it to make games for a lifetime, to enjoy this amazing career and have it last as long as possible. And of course, we've all heard many stories of game devs who are in it for a year or two and then either burn out psychologically, or they run out of money before they're finished their project. Or they make one game, it's not a hit, and they pack it in dejected because they weren't the superstar that they were hoping they'd be on the first time at bat. Of course, it takes more than just showing up at bat once to make a good career. And the people we've brought in to discuss these topics are going to be sharing tips and tricks for overcoming the obstacles that cut game careers short.
So our keynote, we're going to start with Dr. Jennifer Hazel. She's a qualified psychiatrist. She specifically focuses on game industry issues and mental health, self-care, strategies, and tips. And I've seen her speak before, and it's really valuable. What I like about the way she talks is even though she has a medical, clinical background, she's able to simplify things in a way that, like, here's a handful of tips and an easy way to remember it so I can actually use it.
Another one of our guests is Tabby Rose, who's going to be discussing funding and financials. Burnout is not just a personal thing. It can also be a money problem. Money is something that nobody likes to talk about, but often avoiding talking about it is also avoiding finding ways to manage it properly.
Jake Burkett's another speaker we have. His talk is Sustainable Game Dev. And he's been a professional indie game developer now for over a decade.
It's really inspiring, actually, to hear Jake Burkett's story, because here's somebody who, even though he's not rich and famous, he's been able to put food on the table of his family and live and survive off of the games he sells. He's living the dream.
Dr. Jennifer Hazel's in Australia. Tabby Rose is up in Canada. Jake Burkett's going to join us from the United Kingdom. Tomo is joining us from down the street here in Los Angeles, where I'm located. He's been a professional in the industry since 1998. Game design side predominantly, including being a creative director on console games, lead designer on console games, where he looked around and realized that where the markets were going, where the markets were changing, how the careers were all changing and so on, that sticking in a humongous company, he was actually maybe less safe there. Adapting the practices around that, kickstarting a project, there's a much more modern way to do it.
Well, I really like how he says that you can't grow if you don't change.
You'll be speaking on Zen of game development. What are you talking about?
I've been running something called One Game a Month. I'm going to be exploring workflow habits that I've found, tips and tricks that I've found over the years that have helped me maintain my motivation, the creative energy required to continue at it for making 40 some odd games that I have. It's because I've loved the process. And I'm going to share some of that with you guys. Our next guest is Anthony Jones. Why don't you tell us about it?
But what I love about Anthony's story, like he showed no signs of doing game art whatsoever, showed no signs of doing art at all, wasn't sketching in his notebook, pivoted his career when he decided, like, he wanted to make games and wanted to make art. So he started doing a lot of it, and consistently, and everything he could to improve at it, and studied up on it. So worked professionally on the StarCraft franchise, Diablo franchise, World of Warcraft franchise, God of War as well, having come from not a, born gifted artist. And he's currently already pivoting some of that same sort of attitude towards, like, well, he wants to know how to program as well, so he can make things to bring his art to life. So he started just doing that. He didn't say I wasn't an artist. He just said I'm going to start doing art. He didn't say I'm not a programmer. He just started doing programming. And I think that's such a valuable attitude that's going to come across when people hear him speak and the way he presents it. So Starlight Skies, professional game artist, also a Twitch streamer.
Well, she's going to be sharing with us her techniques for practical marketing, building an audience, making a personal brand, and connecting with human beings in a very professional manner that a lot of us could learn from.
Of course, this is so consistent with everything we're talking about in Enjoy Game Dev, is really how to make games long-term. It's under the expectation that someone's not trying to make it work in a weekend or overnight. And so if you already know you're building into there that time for a learning ramp, that time for making some mistakes to learn from and so on, then you have this natural time to simultaneously also be building up your marketing, to be putting yourself out there, to be growing your audience. So when and if you hit that point in your time where you need people to reach out to make aware of your thing, they're already there. They're waiting to hear about it. They've been watching it get developed. They've been there the whole time. I'm titling mine Reducing the Risks, my angle at covering rapid prototyping, which is finding a very low cost, or ideally next to free, way to get something playable. And playable enough that we can make a decision based on it. So not shippable necessarily, but at the very least in a way that we can tell, is this any good? And the power to doing that is that it allows you to not have to take these huge risks of digging into a bunker somewhere, coming up with your magnum opus saying, like, I hope someone buys this now. It might have been too late 4.5 years ago. And that's from a mixture of the market changes from where you aimed at beginning, the changes because sometimes these maybe from the beginning wouldn't have been any good. And so these sort of things can work in any kind of environment, and I've applied them in every kind of environment. And most of my successful projects, commercially or independently and just traffic numbers, all came from that kind of approach of a very, very low risk prototype, proof of concept, testing the waters kind of thing. Tickets will go on sale July 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific PST. Obviously, you don't have to be in Pacific time zone.
But it's a nice informal conference that won't cost you an arm and a leg to fly out and pay for a hotel and all the rest. And hopefully, it will still be very valuable to game devs who want to extend their careers to a lifetime, to make it a real career and not just a stab in the dark one summer.
And I'm really also looking forward to meeting the people who attend, hopefully you, in terms of, it's got to be people who are obviously are in this for the long haul. And that's such a great networking opportunity to be alongside and sharing cross connections with those people, following each other on Twitter, get to each other on Facebook.
Yeah, so after the speakers, we're going to open up the chat and encourage people to do a little show and tell. Unlike some conferences where that might be frowned down upon as seen as self-promotion, by saving it to, when there's not a speaker speaking, we'll let things go wild for a little while, and we can all do a little bit of schmoozing, hand out the equivalent of sort of virtual business cards, and what a wonderful opportunity. These are going to be other people just like you who feel the same way, or at least are interested in similar topics, are interested in finding a sustainable way to be a game dev for the long run.
Yeah, but so, okay, look forward to seeing folks on July 5th. No, August 5th. Look forward to seeing people on August 5th. But remember, July 20th, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the website EnjoyGameDev.com is where those tickets will be up on sale. Sweet.
Awesome. Can't wait.
See everybody there.